good morrow, folks. Yes, it's open house day again. We don't relent. Sorry for last week if any of you got offended if we took the mickey. I know you were a little bit upset with how we treated our guest last week, weren't you, Mycroft? Sorry.
He was a good boy. He didn't do nothing.
It was difficult not to mock him. You've got to remember that, and I think I did a reasonably good job of that. And I'm not getting enough love for that.
Prove him wrong, you know you're in trouble.
I think that the only person that treated that man reasonably was Melody.
Mel's feminist mama.
Yeah, so. But it was funny. I laughed through all 3 hours of that. So you know.
Yeah, I think Habib got a bit rough with him.
No, it was that first guy. That first guy was a little too rough on the guy.
Well, he was there to debate him. They were there to sort of like go mono a mono. That was the plan.
I don't. Did you tell him that? Because I don't feel like he was.
No. They all understood what the situation was. That was the plan. Okay. Everybody knew what they were signing up for.
Mm-hmm.
That was I was just there to to watch the fireworks and see what happened.
I would just like to say that he is my favorite YouTuber, and why you are an idiot, I will never stop watching you. You are an amazing individual. You just keep doing you, boo.
You are.
I love you, man.
You stay there, mate. Yeah, you keep making videos. That way you don't shoot up any school.
Yeah, and Robin, I don't know if you were noticing the comments at that time, but there were actually people funny, but the moderator was laughing all the way through.
That was mainly
He's a good boy. He's a good boy. I don't understand why you guys hate on him so much.
I'm not hating.
Not hating on him. It's just pissing on him.
He has his beliefs. He believes we all live under a dome.
He did need a mild bit of mockery. Let's be honest.
And he thinks the anime Attack on Titans is real.
Yeah. Well, look. Here's the thing, buddy. Until he actually shoots up a school, everything's fine. Okay. So just shh. Just chill.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
Okay. So that's the intro over with. So what we're doing today is talking about something that is obviously very close to everyone's heart, and that is our home, or at least for some of us. Some of us seem to shit where we eat. Some of us seem to not really give a shit at all. And now, basically, the Pacific Ocean is awash with plastic, and it's getting a bit much. And basically,
have you seen pictures from South Africa?
Yes, and various other things. But essentially, a lot of people have been giving us around 12 years. I think the announcement was about a year ago, and they said 12 years before it gets to a point where it's, let's say, beyond redemption. So it'll be runaway and very tricky to actually, sort of set up, cool down from.
That's so early.
So that's not long.
Well, until the coral reefs die.
Yeah.
Care about those.
Yeah, so that's that thing. And so a lot of people got a little bit stressed out about that and decided to go down to Waterloo and stop people from going where they wanted to go. And they went over to Marble Arch and set up a camp there. And they went over to Westminster
made signs
as
made
well.
of plastic.
Yeah, and they were I think they were there for like 10 days at that point when I went down there to have a chat with them. So I made a little video just to sort of illustrate what I came across. This is obviously 10 days after it, so many people have already been arrested, but this is obviously peaceful people. Most of the people there that had been arrested had basically volunteered as such. So they knew that what they were going to do anyway, and they did it peacefully. So there wasn't really any sort of like violent arrests, if you will. But this was what I saw anyway.
This isn't your... multicolored head. Everyone's got to turn into a demi-gendered idiot. It's none of that. But I mean, why have you come down here anyway? Let's interview you for a second. Okay, I've met this guy. What's your name, mate?
Andrew.
This is Andrew. Okay. Andrew, what the hell are you doing down here?
Well, I've gone to a few days of Extinction Rebellion, but just been on the periphery, really. I heard of something on Facebook earlier about the police moving in and evicting, so I came down. Solidarity, really. I'm only one man, but numbers are important. They said they needed numbers. I thought I'd come and have a look. I'm encouraged by all of this. The Occupy movement a few years ago was the first sort of proper rebellion that I've seen.
Do you think they actually got where they wanted to go?
No, they got nowhere. It all petered out slowly, but that's.
That might have been that they didn't really concentrate on the money so much.
I mean, it's difficult what to concentrate on. This should be an anti-capitalist movement.
Isn't that a danger, though?
It is a danger because
The danger of the fact that maybe capitalism may have got us into this mess, but does it mean that it can't get it out too? It is a power to be utilised and used.
I don't think capitalism will not get us out of this mess. Capitalism caused this mess and it's now accelerating. It's trying to consume more. It's causing more and more division, more and more diversionary tactics, more and more divide and rule. And that's the tactic of the ruling class, and it's a very effective tactic. Even you look at how this has been covered in the media.
Oh yeah, they're like a bunch of filthy,
It's
smelly, messy...
soap dodging,
Yeah,
all of the old stereotypes come out, which they use as a way of controlling the narrative. We
Yeah.
all read the papers and think that's what everybody thinks, but
And
that's
you've got
not
some
the case.
grey-haired old ladies popping out of these tents, sort of like, you know, with a sort of like a half suit on.
I mean, it's a good mix. It's, like you say, a lot of middle class, a lot of the old hippie types, but it's drawing attention to the issue, which is good, but it's also giving a good example of how you demonstrate, how you can use different forms of protest to get your point across. And occupying is a good one because it lasts for a long time, and the longer you do it, the more it draws attention.
Haven't you got a job to go to?
I do, but I'm on a 0 hours contract, so I can pick and choose when I work to a certain extent.
That's the great thing about 0 hour
It
contracts.
gives
You're
me a
employed,
certain-
but you haven't got any work.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah. So I found out...
Looks good on the books.
I found out a couple of weeks ago I didn't have any work for a week. I had one day work on the first day, so I went along to Westminster for a couple of days and joined the occupation on Waterloo Bridge. So I'm not your typical environmentalist.
Okay.
I'm not part of this clique or this crowd or whatever you want to call it. I'm here because
I didn't
want
see a
the
single
working
dreadlock
classes.
on you.
I want the working classes represented. This should be a mass working class movement because it's the poor people around the world, not just in this country, but everywhere you go. It's the poor people that will get hammered by climate change. It's the poor people that will bear the brunt of all of the worst of it, as they always do with every policy governments take. And that's what we need to be talking about. One thing that's a bit off-putting to me about Extinction Rebellion is, you can edit this on,
It's all right.
is it's trying to tell the individual that they're responsible for what's happening. It's not the individual, and it's not individual actions that are going to make a change. You need system change to avoid climate change. That is, to me, the bottom line of it. We can talk as much as you like about cutting down your meat consumption. I mean, I have. I don't use aeroplanes. I try not to drive unless it's absolutely necessary. I do the things that I can. But it won't make a difference in the long run unless we start to have long-term planning and actually accept that we're on the verge of something drastic happening that may well be irreversible, that may well stay with generations to come if we're lucky enough to still have generations to come.
Do you believe in the 10-year timeline?
You in, say, 12 years, don't they? And I mean, when I was at primary school, they were climate change. They were saying this is a problem. I've read stuff from 100 years ago where they were talking about this. So it's been in the zeitgeist for a long, long time, and nothing's been done about it. Governments have proven themselves to be incapable of addressing it. They're too much in the pocket of big business.
Well, people are saying that the government has done some here.
Oh yeah, it's a sticky plaster on a gushing wound. It's too little, too late, and it's just paying lip service to it. It's not addressing the core drivers of climate change. One is the military. As long as we have a military that's completely reliant on oil and gas to function, and the fact that governments continue to invest billions and billions in what can only be described as something that just consumes and consumes without actually putting anything back. That's one thing. The other thing is we're not addressing moving away from fossil fuels, which seems really obvious, but the fact that we're still fracking in this country, the fact that we're building the fifth or a sixth runway at Heathrow, all of these show that governments aren't going to address the underlying issues. And it's big business. It's not the small guy, it's not the little man, it's not your individual consumer that's causing these problems, it's big business. And that's the argument that we need to get across. Occupying's good. Talking to people about going vegan is good. But that's not how you're going to win hearts and minds. You're going to win hearts and minds by having the actual conversation and addressing the underlying causes. We need to look at the big picture. We have a media that refuses to represent the issue properly. If they do talk about climate change, they'll always have some climate change denier sitting next to them talking about absolute twaddle, stuff that is completely demonstrably untrue, and yet is still given a voice. Until you start addressing that, then you're not going to win people around.
Okay. So,
I have like
wait. I have
some things to say.
Wait.
We'll let Melody speak first.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So good evening.
Am I going to get a review?
No.
You
Okay.
did good. You did.
Well,
good.
You like that, yeah?
Actually, that was pretty cool, Robin. I
Thank
like
you.
that. That's
That's what I was hoping for. Something, some sort of feedback. Love me,
Anyway.
you bitch!
Your hard work aside.
Okay.
Yeah, unpopular opinion. I was talking with Helena, and apparently the part of Japan that she's in at the moment is experiencing unprecedented lovely weather. So, new plan with climate change. Instead of stopping it, we accelerate it and shuffle the deck and see what happens.
That is somewhat of an unpopular opinion, it seems.
Some countries are going to get better,
So,
some are going to get
Can I
worse.
give you NASA's opinion on this one? Do you want to hear
NASA's opinion. Okay, you're going to tell us NASA's opinion. Go.
Okay, so all time limited frames are bullshit. Gavin Schmidt, who leads NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies in New York.
He said bullshit. Those were the words.
Nothing special happens when the carbon budget runs out or we pass whatever temperature target you care about. Instead, the costs of emissions steadily rise. And then he said, the thing to push back against is the implicit framing that there is some magic global mean temperature, total emissions that separate fine from catastrophic. There just isn't. That's his opinion.
And when did he say that?
In the last 3 days.
Who was this?
But
Again, it's this is Goddard Institute for Space Studies in New York, and this is from NASA. The man's name, let me get you his name. Gavin Schmidt.
Gavin Schmidt. Okay, let's have a look at what Gavin has to say.
sorry.
Gavin Smith, isn't he a
Also-
Canadian volleyball player?
Nope.
Oh,
Also,
but that's a shame.
I on another note, before we go back into this, I would like to announce my departure from the open house. For now,
No,
I am
no, I've already put you down on the guest list.
for I am now big money. You see, for
You're
I
big
have
money now, are you?
Yes, I have 6 Patreons, and so I make $6 every month, and I am.
Hey, good for you.
Thank you.
Hey.
But clearly, I am now so big money that I cannot mingle with the commoners like yourselves.
Hey, I'm still getting more than that. Don't worry.
But yeah, Schmaltzy just passed 60 strips.
Boo,
so,
yeah. Six
yeah, I'm pretty
strips of
happy.
latinum.
I love your
Mm. Aw, thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Well, I just have a question.
About...
Are we all sold on the 12 years here? Are we sold on this idea?
What do you mean by 12 years? Like 12 years if we don't do anything, the planet is doomed? Or
Well, I read the IPCC report, and I will agree with them on one point that there's a very good chance that the coral reefs are all gonna fucking die. There's that. That is highly likely to happen because it's already happening. But 12 years doesn't actually have anything to do with that death range. That's probably going to happen in the next 5 years, regardless of what we do. So I'm not sure why that's even relevant to the 12-year claim.
I think we're talking about.
I'm kind of confused as to what exactly is going to happen in
runaway
12 years.
greenhouse effect, mate.
Yeah, that's not even proven though. Like, who's
well, I mean,
actually?
it kind of is, though. I mean,
I was learning about this in school when I was.
Yeah, you got-
But the IPCC, if you look at
yeah,
what they're
IPCC.
claiming, these are the people that put the 12-year fucking shit out. What they're claiming is actually going to happen is that there's going to be changes within the ocean that we are not going to be able to control. That's literally
because
it.
we've already messed up.
Because I've read the report and it doesn't say anything about the end of the world as everybody seems to think is coming.
Nobody
So
says
this
it's
is
the
the
end
If you
of the
actually
world.
read the report, because I did.
Mycroft, is this in 12 years or 5 years? Like minimum
12
5?
years.
Yeah, okay.
12 years.
Okay,
12
but
years from now.
just to confirm, Mycroft, you're not saying that the runaway greenhouse effect isn't real.
I have never actually, in my lifetime, said that I disbelieve or whatever in climate change. I do think that we are actually impacting it.
Okay, but you think the estimate's rough.
My position has always been that I do not think that we should make overriding changes to the way that we operate in our trade to accommodate that. And the reason I believe that is because places like China and Russia, as much as we want to believe that China is actually doing anything to combat their climate change, they're not. I actually looked into this because I was hearing a bunch of people were telling me that, oh well, China is they're taking such great strides. Go look at what they've actually done. Nothing. They've done nothing. The only thing that they actually did was during the Beijing Games, and they did that temporarily. They basically shut off a couple of their smog-producing plants just to clear up the air while people were there.
They
And
didn't
then
just do that,
right
Max.
after that, they turned them right back on. And I can give you a whole bunch of red running rivers, my friend,
Mycroft, they
coming
didn't
straight
just
out
do
of
that.
China.
They didn't
No.
just do that. They basically closed.
I can also give you a Harvard study that actually will show you that the one thing that they actually did try to do when they were actually trying to clean up their air, they actually punched a big ass hole in their fucking ozone layer, and the Harvard study will show you that they actually fucked their shit up worse than they actually corrected anything, and that is the only time that China's actually done shit. So like this whole idea that fucking China's doing anything is a myth. It's a myth.
So you're saying that the people.
Robin, are you eating?
I'm eating popcorn. Yeah.
No, what are you doing, man?
Well, okay.
Oh, God,
So
woman,
this particular protest here is for people in London. Okay.
No, Robin, this is why I'm big money and you're not. That's.
I'm not here for big money. I'm here for the people.
And the popcorn.
Anyway.
Apparently. Anyway.
We're here, or at least discussing a protest that was done in London, generally directed at people like us, the British, and maybe the West in general. China are the largest producer of electric energy from renewable sources on the planet. And if they're not doing particularly well, according to Mycroft here, then we're definitely not doing very well. It's a sweet one, by the way, Sophia.
Not at all. You're also a tiny contributor to that. I'm sorry. Like that's
So I mean, shut up because you've talked enough and let someone else have a turn.
Go ahead.
I am certainly curious. Will this even, as a protest, will it last? I mean, protests I've noticed do tend to just dwindle down within a few months a lot of the time, and also, is this thing even allowed to happen? I thought the law changed after the Occupy movement. I thought the government changed how people can protest as a result of that.
Well, they have met to meet them. They have met and said that they will meet them.
Interesting.
So
you mean the government have actually said they'll meet?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well,
I have
I'd
video
love
evidence.
To be. Okay.
Oh, Rob, for the love of like eat the popcorn away from the microphone.
Please.
It's my show.
I know, but it's like...
I'd love to be a fly on the wall on that conversation between the two groups.
It wasn't a fly on the wall.
I'm talking about the idea of the government actually meeting protesters.
Yeah, well, they had a meeting about meeting them.
And I'm sure that this eventual meeting will be very productive and won't involve the government just completely patronizing them in any way.
We'll have to see about that. They're not. They do seem rather serious.
Which ones?
Pretty much all of them.
Right.
You know something funny? The United States, European Union, China, and the Russian Federation, and Japan are using up about 37% of the global carbon budget. What other places might be using up the other 63%? You think?
India.
Talking about everybody else, Minecraft, is not really solving the solution, is it?
No, that's the point. Kind of problem.
Well.
What about them?
So,
what about them? Is not really a solution-orientated sort of stance, is it?
I think it's very simple.
Mycroft, the point is we are setting the example.
Oh no! Oh, setting the example. No, you're not. No, you're not. Neither is China, and neither is the UK. You can have all your tent city here all you want. It's not going to do shit. You want to know how you fix this problem? Create technology that actually reverses the process. If you do that, then you've actually accomplished something.
Well,
this is just nonsense.
Who's going to buy
This
that?
is just nonsense. This is just
Minecraft.
feel good nonsense. Sorry.
Who's going to make money and use that technology?
Minecraft, we already have that technology. That's only half the value. You've then got to make it more profitable than the cheaper option.
I agree.
Yeah. Like
that'll make them use it.
we could use like rapeseed
This is
oil
not-
and stuff.
This is not the way to do it, though.
What,
No,
rapeseed
the-
oil
the
gets
honest-
plants to
not
make
actually
oil that
make-
take
not
carbon
actually making
dioxide
the
out of
oil.
the
No,
air?
because what percentage do you think that's actually going to accomplish? If we talk about carbon scrubbers in the ocean or some shit like
Just
that,
use
like
vertical farms, Mycroft. Oh my god, like rapeseed oil takes CO2 out of the air and you've got oil
vertical
production.
farming, you know where that would actually be useful?
Where?
Along the Ganges.
Or skyscrapers that we already have that are like pre-existing structures.
Where's okay. You no, because that's not where most of this shit's coming from.
Why not though?
It's because it's not where most of this shit is coming from.
Well, because it
Well,
would be
why
expensive
not?
to set. Well, yeah.
Where you want to put these things in play, or is where most of the carbon production is actually coming from, which is where
I'm
is it?
guessing
Where is it?
China and Russia, based on your points.
India,
made so far.
India, and
Okay.
India.
Well, I got a solution for India. Basically, tell them either you kill all your cows or we'll come in and kill them.
Oh, it's
they're
not the-
God. Who gives a
No, it's
fuck?
not even. It's not even the cat. Oh God, the cows. Oh boy.
You know they don't kill them because it's our
No,
God's
I
pet.
actually,
Who
you know,
cares?
no, it was some asshole fucking shit on me because I didn't fucking understand this whole fucking problem, and I actually bothered to look into it, and the farting cows thing, like all of the methane that's actually produced by cows, it's not. It is minuscule. It is minuscule. If you want to talk about the human production of carbon emission, has nothing to do with our production of animals. It's like 0.01%. It's nothing.
Oh,
It's to do with methane, mate, not carbon dioxide.
Dara O'Kane wants to join Robin.
Okay. You know what to do, Dara?
I
Carry
guess. Okay.
Well, one thing's certainly true. I do know the one thing people don't actually like to talk about is that actually the biggest contributor to our carbon footprint really is people in general. In fact, it's the best
Yeah.
way to reduce it is to kill your child.
Oh God.
Or not have children. There you go.
Well, yeah,
That doesn't seem to be the best solution, to be honest.
Also, Sophia wants to know if it's salt or sweet popcorn that you're eating.
It was sweet popcorn, and now I'm having salt and vinegar crisps.
No, it's like what Seb says. Like Seb actually has the right idea. The right idea, if you want to actually curb what we're doing here in the West, the correct solution to this is to basically move towards nuclear energy temporarily, and then at that point pump a whole bunch of money into finding renewable resources like, I don't know, electric and like all whatever we can find. I don't think that we're gonna, in our current view of like green renewable resources, I don't think we're gonna find anything there.
Fusion's almost there.
I don't think solar is gonna go anywhere, or
Fusion.
wind or water. all
Fusion.
that shit.
Rapeseed oil.
Fusion.
I don't think that those things are going to be useful. I think that they're
Micro, if we've got a sun that's pretty much getting hotter, then solar power's definitely going somewhere, mate.
It's true.
yeah, but the problem with solar has always been, how do we capture the energy? And the problem is that we do not have a sufficient battery to actually house the energy, and that's always been the problem. Fusion, what? What do you want to have, a sun on the planet?
Well, I mean, actually,
Only a
Minecraft,
little
if you're
one.
talking about energy, if you're talking about energy storage, I mean, instead of trying to store it and sell the power, you could just, like, I don't know. I mean, it would be a huge paradigm shift, but you could just adopt Tesla's model of electricity distribution.
No. The way that we're going to be...
we could do Tesla. I mean, we just suck energy from the fucking atmosphere. We figure out what the fuck he was talking about when he was talking about that shit.
No cosmic rays. I'm just talking
Fusion.
about wireless energy transfer. You know,
Fusion.
like
Fine, fusion.
okay, you could do fusion, but like also
Fusion's the way.
actually, I've got a Mr. Fusion home energy reactor vinyl sticker on my car, and I love it. But
Well, no, like there's a couple of actually good theories about the carbon nanotubes being a good
No, but I
conductor
mean-
of electricity.
it's easy enough to generate an electric field that would, be distributed by, like, say, like one of those mega solar farms, and just connecting up that way. The only problem is that when you're distributing energy like that would
Right,
be
the loss. Right. So
Well-
this is what they're talking about
This
doing.
is why we need
No,
someone
no,
like
no.
Thunderfoot here, because he'd
No.
be able to understand.
This is why you need fusion.
No, like the
Well,
issue.
what
No,
they're-
the issue is that it would be transmitted the same way that radio is transmitted, and there's no feasible way to charge for radio usage.
Fusion.
Well, sure, but the idea of having of the nuclear power plants is that at least in the interim we're going to have local
Quicker to be
electricity that's going. Sure.
Robin,
Sure.
we're not at viable fusion yet.
We
Put
are.
it to bed.
We are
No,
a viable
we're not.
fusion.
Where are we?
Really?
Where are we? Like where? Tell me where.
They've already set up. They've already managed to make maintainable, stable fusion. They're just building up a larger version of it now.
And they're making more energy than they're putting in to
Yeah.
run it.
Really?
Well, okay then. Let's do that.
Well, if that's happening, then we're fine. Then fuck all this. Like, we don't have to worry about shit anymore. This is.
Well, I mean, we still do, because you said yourself that we're at a point where we've messed things up so bad that it doesn't matter what we do now.
Yeah, basically,
It
by the
depends
time
on
we
it
actually
depends
get
on it
fusion
depends on
reactors,
it
we're going to be
depends
dead.
on how much you can. It depends on how much you can scrub out of the ocean, right? And this is the thing:
Right.
is that that's the big question. Like, how do you make that profitable? Like, how do you make companies like make it profitable? Like, you could have like an oil rig off the fucking Atlantic down like in Louisiana. It's like where Louisiana has like a huge ass oil rig right off the coast. If you remember that, when they spilled all that oil, you could actually charge them to basically tell them, like, if you're going to pump out oil from like down in the rift, then what you have to do is basically scrub the ocean of X amount of fucking carbon.
I have a question.
You could do that. Like, that's
Microsoft isn't going to let you, apparently.
I have a question. If what are you getting out of this scrubbing? What's the stuff? Is it just carbon?
Well, I mean, like, that's my understanding of it, right? Like, the thing about it is like the ocean is essentially a huge ass carbon sink, and the big problem is that, like, if you look at, I don't know, Robin, you can probably explain this
It's
better
at
than I can.
capacity. It's at the capacity. I get it.
So even if you
it
take
becomes
carbon
like
dioxide
soda
out
water.
of the atmosphere, because the temperature has risen, it means that more carbon dioxide is released from the ocean. It's kind of like kept in a state of equilibrium, but we're shifting that equilibrium. The more carbon dioxide we put into the atmosphere, the more the ocean absorbs the carbon dioxide. You see the issue.
So it would kind of make
Anyway.
sense. It would kind of make sense to, like, the people that are fucking around in the ocean to fucking scrub that shit, right? Right?
Yeah, but it's not easy to scrub the ocean. If you imagine,
The ocean's pretty big.
Yeah,
It's
it's
3/4
like-
of the planet.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Raking
it
the
there.
forest. By the way, this sign, BBC, be clear about climate change. That guy was really desperate to get something in he couldn't spell properly.
Well, I mean, like, don't undercut technology. Like, this is the thing. It's just that every time we've ever had a problem, technology comes along to fucking solve it, and we're like, oh, that could have never happened, and then suddenly it is. So, you know.
What is interesting, though, is that Venus, the planet, is actually undergoing a runaway greenhouse effect. Has done for centuries. So, like,
Well, that's what we base our models off of.
Yeah.
Is we look at Venus and we see how they, what would happen to that fucking planet, and that's where we see ourselves going at some point. It's
Also,
like, yeah.
interesting fact: Venus used to be called Lucifer, or the morning star. This is
Yeah,
completely irrelevant.
it's also based off of bitch. Just saying.
No, it's not.
That was Mel's fun fact of the week, everyone.
By the way,
Yeah,
Dora's
but I
right.
do-
Thanos had the best solution to climate change.
if
Just
you-
murdered half the fucking population of the Earth.
Although I suppose if you were to use the old name for Venus, Lucifer, and you did the whole men are from Mars, that would be women are from Lucifer.
Let's
I guess.
Let's just stop there. Let's just.
Okay.
Minecraft, I want to say that your solution could work as this, that, the ocean is pretty big, and it would take a lot of scrubbers to get rid of all that shit.
Sure.
It's like trying to empty a bathtub with a straw. It's like, hold on, I'm almost done. You gotta be there for like a month trying to empty that thing.
Well, I mean, like you laugh, but like it's the same thing. Like with the idea of dumping a whole bunch of water over a fucking a burning forest. I mean, like that's something that we never thought we were going to be able to do. But yeah, we absolutely have the ability to accomplish these things. Like the idea that you're going to just like write that off.
That's the
like,
thing.
No, I'm just saying, like it's ridiculous that you would just write that off. Like we cannot
I'm not writing
do that.
it off. I'm saying you can do it. It's just gonna take an awful long time.
Well, you think so, but you don't know what we might come up with.
There is
Like,
there is a way of doing it, Mycroft, without having to actually use any technology at all.
Yeah, not without creating a huge ass fucking problem within international communities. No, I don't. You want to start fucking around with energy? You're playing with fire. Sorry, no. This is
good pun.
I am curious about something, Robin.
This is Mycroft's capitalist moment kicking in.
We should have that.
Mycroft's capitalist moment.
It is. Like I'm not joking.
He's having a capitalist fit.
You're playing with fire because you don't understand what the consequences of that are going to be economically, and you don't understand what politically what that's going to do.
Right, economically as opposed to environmentally.
And well, environmentally, I've already established that the Chinese do not give a flying fuck about.
I don't know.
Neither do the fucking Russians or the Saudis.
Like, okay,
Neither do the Americans, apparently.
Yeah, maybe on Africa.
Yeah, well, we actually give
Japan are doing
shit.
China are the largest polluters, but they also are the largest populators. For an industrial sort of nation, they do have quite a lot of people. As far as the amount of green energy and renewable energy they've done more than anybody else in the world, as well as be the biggest polluter of everybody else in the world.
Also,
so
Minecraft.
The problem that you have is by saying that they're the biggest polluter, you've also got to take into the fact that that's 1/6 of the entire world's population.
Also, like, I know that I'm going to sound naive and optimistic here, but you're very quick to write off an entire society of people. You don't think anybody in China is maybe concerned about it, and there's not like large groups that be like.
I don't think that really matters in China.
Of course, it matters.
No, that's I am absolutely going to write that off because I think you're naive.
Melody, that's a bit naive because China's a one-party state. It isn't exactly a green party. It's either Communist Party or Gulag.
Is it going to be one party forever?
Pretty much.
Wow.
They figured out the economy bit, so they're gonna keep being on with that. It's not like the Soviet Union where they fucked up economically, so they had
I played around with that idea for a while. Like I actually looked into this. Like if you go look at like the climate arguments for like China actually trying to fix their smog issue. Like, so for example, if you look at the Beijing Games, right? Like everybody always points to that and they're like, well, they cleaned up the skies during the Beijing Games. You know what they did? They just shut the fucking smog producing fucking companies down that day while they were playing the game.
Well, it wasn't just a day, dude. They did it for like a week before.
Yeah, and then what happened after that, buddy? What happened after that? They just turned it all back on, didn't they?
Yeah, I know that.
Hey, it was a bunch of bullshit, and everybody looks at that like, oh, they can clean up.
Well, they can
Michael.
clean up their skies. They can clean up their skies, guys. They can do that.
No,
Michael, it wasn't just the smoke producers. They also had to basically shut down their entire.
the only
road
time
system.
there's a Harvard study on this, and you can go look it up if you don't believe me. The only time that they actually tried to fix their ozone, their pollution, and the only time they actually tried to do it, they actually fucked themselves because they actually shot a hole in their fucking ozone layer. And there's a Harvard study that will show this. No, I'm not even joking, dude. Like, they actually managed to fuck themselves the one time they tried to fix their own shit. The one time. It was the only time.
That really stops people from fixing their own shit because they failed the first time.
I think that's a big disincentive for a fucking government, isn't it? Like, if you have to go back to your government and say, hey, guys, we really tried, but like it
Hang
just
on to
turned
the
out
ledge.
that we,
Ow, my fingers hurt.
We might have actually like fucked this shit up worse. What do you think the Chinese government's gonna fucking tell you?
They won't care.
Hello, Drew.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Listen, Robin, I am curious. One, how many freaking packets of crisps are you eating?
No,
And
this
two,
is no. I've moved from the okay. I
so
started
you've
with
gone
sweet
from
popcorn. Then I
and you
went on
went to
to salt and vinegar crisps. Then I thought, you know what? How about some flaming steak? Then we've moved on to just basically honey nut cornflakes.
So you decided to do all of this whilst on stream?
Yeah.
And you know what? You could have muted yourself.
He could have, but he didn't, because...
You know what I found
Robin.
really funny was just that the UK actually just recently blocked all of Huawei's 5G connections. Did you see that?
Why?
Yeah, no, like they blocked all of Chinese 5G connections from Huawei. And
agreed to use Huawei.
nope, that's a big nopers. That happened yesterday, buddy. Go look it up. It's funny. They actually blocked all of that shit. And
Oh, wait.
there was a big move on the UK government.
I had one more question for Robin as well. What was your intention tonight? Like, did you actually think that we would, the six of us would come to a solution to global warming on this YouTube stream?
Probably not. I was just here to witness you flailing around as you try and find solutions.
Some
to
people
this
do want to
impossible
watch the
problem.
world burn, Mr.
I have a
It does
solution.
seem- yeah. Oh, go for it, Drew.
What if we all gave Leonardo DiCaprio a bunch of money?
Right? Then what?
That's it. No, that's my.
How would actually I got a solution. But you guys here are gonna have to like fucking back me up on this shit. We should invade China.
I'm leaning away
either
from
way,
that.
Cool. That's fine.
Anyway, the idea is supposed to be that the government, when it comes to this protest in the UK, like Ron was saying, apparently that the government are going to be meeting with these protesters, which sounds great, but I've seen these things before. When it comes to situations with protesters meeting the government, the game is rigged.
Yeah, that kind of happened with a lot of feminists in.
Well, no,
No,
like
no, this happened with a lot of like feminist activists in like the 80s, I think.
I think it's pretty simple. Like if you actually care about like global like climate change, then you should back me up, and we should just go fucking invade China because like.
Shut up! I swear.
Okay, all right. I'll shut up. Go ahead. Sorry.
But like I was saying, when it comes to this, the game is rigged.
Yes, and you should subscribe to my podcast. The Game is Rigged, now available on Spotify. You go to tgir.fyi. I'm editing the
He's hitting the
episode as
wall.
we speak. Yeah. There's lots of stuff happening in the world this week. Actually, it'll be good.
You see, you have to
It'll be
meter
good.
your enthusiasm, so it's something that you're able to maintain. Otherwise, you
But
wear
now,
yourself
babe,
out, man.
I'm like, no, because I've been doing 3 hours and I'm dead, man. 4. Actually, it was 4 hours.
Don't bitch at me.
But in the 80s,
will.
there were a group of.
You don't look. I will bitch at you because you have 6 other people to hold up the slack, Mister. All you do is fucking eat chips.
Do you think these people are holding up the slack? Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, while you're eating crisps,
All I'm doing is dragging round slack.
Yeah, that's what it is, Robin. Wait, no, actually, I'm curious. What do you think the show would be if we weren't here? Don't say good.
It would be me eating crispy things for about
For like
half an
2
hour.
hours.
No, it would be the Gamergate News Network, big like it used to be.
All the gamer
Oh,
haters
boy.
are left, dude.
They all ran away.
Oh, they haven't
scared
gone
them off.
anywhere. They're just all you.
No, I mean they left him. They're still around. They left Robin, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of scared them off.
Are you
No.
eating crisps?
Just started getting annoying.
Oh, yeah, Mycroft, will you now admit on the stream that you were wrong, utterly wrong, and apologize profusely about the bill to end the war in Yemen that your glorious leader has vetoed?
Yeah, sure. I don't care about that.
Well, sure. Why would
not
you?
an
They're brown and in
apology.
another country. Fuck those people.
I will
That's his new stance.
profusely apologize for my glorious leader Donald Trump for whatever the hell he did in regards to Yemen and yeah, whatever.
Well, then do it. You say you
Apparently,
will, but...
apparently Dara would watch Robin
I mean-
eating for hours.
In fairness, Mycroft,
See,
that is
he
a better
gets me.
apology than Joe Biden.
You know, I'm actually considering voting for Joe Biden.
Just so you're going from Trump supporter to centrist cuck. You just tried? You just like pissing off the?
Well, I
people?
don't know. It just depends on like how he, depends on how he goes. I don't know. I don't really know. Like, I don't know what he's gonna fucking say. The only other, like, I said this before, and I'll say it again. The only
Okay.
two fucking Democrats that I will actually consider voting for are fucking Joe Biden and Tulsi Gabbard. Those are my only two. If
Question.
if those two go up, then I'll consider it.
Would you vote Bernie if Tulsi's the Veep pick?
Nope. I will never vote Bernie.
Okay.
Robin,
Under any circumstances, I will never vote Bernie.
I would
Rob-
vote Bernie if Tulsi was the Veep pick. That's pretty much it, though.
What about Andrew Yang? What about him? Would you vote for him?
No,
Mycroft?
that's a meme, you retard.
Oh, come on. He's
He's not a
smart
person,
guy.
you fool. He's a construct. He doesn't
Robin,
exist.
Robin. Hello, Silver.
Mel,
but
Mel.
Rob,
Part of the simulation. Hey, fuck.
Rob,
That's
did I
an
do?
alt. Andrew Yang is an alt-right meme, and if you don't know that, you are just not paying attention. And then, if that's the fact, I don't care about you. Sorry.
He's lying.
Silver, you've not said anything yet, but I can confidently say, put your mic closer to your mouth.
Keep up with the memes, dude. It's important for your political career.
In the pictures, did I just see a pink boat that was carted to an environmentalist rally
Yes.
using a car?
Yes.
I don't want to say. Oh, okay. Like, I'm still in support of these guys, but guys, don't do that.
It was towed with ethically sourced sheepdogs.
Oh, okay. That's...
The boat was powered by slaves. It's all right.
Technically, that would be green energy,
it
but
was
no
towed
silver.
by liberated hounds from fox hunts.
Would slavery count as green energy?
I mean, do you want it to?
Well, no, because humans are super inefficient. So
No, like I'm totally on board with this. Like,
No, it's not. No. Like scientifically, it doesn't make sense because like the amount of
what's that?
CO2. Well, the amount
Slavery
of
doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense scientifically as energy production. Like you could have like 1 billion people cycling on like exercise bikes to generate your power, but the amount of carbon dioxide that humans produce based on the amount of power that they output is like highly inefficient compared to say combusting petrol.
What if they're picking cotton?
Then it's still inefficient compared to modern-day machines.
I don't feel like you actually done the math on that.
I have done math on that. That's why we use freaking machines to do farming.
You're failing to take into account his big fat racist smile.
I mean, she entertained me well enough. I'm fine.
Yeah. Now, Mycroft, if you're talking about exploiting another country's like failing economy, maybe then you could economically make it work, but not in your own country, dude. No.
Oh well, like the Romanians.
I don't know.
Which failing country are we talking about?
Any, like, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it does matter though.
I'm just talking like empirical. So like energy output to the amount of CO2 that you're producing. No, but even then, like it's still inefficient. Like
I'm pretty sure the French fart like way more than the fucking Romanians. So like we gotta like talk about that.
No, like it's not just it's not just the methane. It's like the you breathe out carbon dioxide. Basically, a respiration. No. Respiration is a combustion reaction. It's classified chemically as a combustion reaction. You take in oxygen, you're reacting it with carbon, you're producing CO2 and water. The exact same thing that happens when you set petrol, on fire. It's just like respiration is a very slow explosion. You can think of it that way.
Now, I have a question for you though.
Yes.
So, now I was talking to Sandre about this.
Oh, by the way, that's why the Matrix doesn't make sense. But go on.
Well, no, okay. So, first question, obviously, does methane in any way impact the atmosphere?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it is a greenhouse gas.
It's a really bad one.
Would you say that people that drink a lot of wine and smoke a lot of cigarettes are going to emit more or less methane than a society that does not do those things?
Well, I mean, the cigarettes, you've got extra combustion going on. So it's not, of course you're going to have more CO2. With wine, I mean, it depends on the society's metabolism. So I don't know. It'd be hard to say. But definitely with smoking, if you're burning extra stuff, of course you're going to produce more CO2.
So would you say that it's like a safe bet to just fucking genocide the French?
No.
Well, I don't know. This is the problem with science. It's for a simple solution, and they just fucking naysay your shit.
I think what we should do is try this out on some insignificant country. So let's start with America.
Let's start with fucking Britain.
No, it's gonna miss
you don't
America.
need to start on us, mate. We're already self-imploding.
That's my point, idiot.
Robin, what are you doing?
Trying to get a video to load.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Silver Fox. I'll tell you what, buddy. Next time you have a GDP above fucking North, we'll talk, buddy.
Hey, the pound is still slightly more valuable than the dollar.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah, we're until Brexit.
Your answer for not doing anything about the planet destroying itself is because we're not making any money out of it. It's a bit of an argument.
That sounds like your problem, not mine.
It's gonna be your problem when the world's messed up.
Do you not live on this planet?
Yeah.
I live here.
I mean, I've always thought of you as some weird ginger alien, but I mean, I accept that you might actually be some form of human.
I mean,
Well,
actually,
you are wrong, sir.
Mycroft, this is actually,
sir, please.
Mycroft, this is something I'm actually wondering and stuff. The basis of capitalism, at its very roots, is that you want to make a profit, right?
Yep.
And you do that by exploiting labor. That is a given. No, it's a given. You have to exploit labor in order for capitalism to work.
Yeah.
Nope.
You can't. No. You can't hire your employees and give them all the money that they're earning. Otherwise, you're not going to make money.
Maybe. Well, you want to play around with terms? We can play around with terms. Exploit.
I think he's upset with the word exploit.
I'm sorry.
It seems to be giving him the heebie-jeebies.
I spun around in my chair. I am ready to have this fucking debate.
Okay, wait. Hang on. Like, I'm not finished here. But also, like, you need to use like resources.
Do you need to use labor? Yes, you need to use labor. Is that at the admonition of people who are actually looking to employ their own labor? Yes.
What's the natural conclusion then? Like if you take it to its extreme.
What's the net? Well, that the majority of people in this country have never starved. We've had fantastic results from capitalism.
You've got more homes than homeless people, like, more empty homes than homeless people.
Have you noticed that the more drunk he gets, the more he says,
I get so fucking flag wavy in this fuck. Oh, look. Even during the Great Depression, we never had anyone starve in this country. Go find. Look, no,
I get consumption, exceeds actual earnings. So you go find
Hooverville.
Go find a place in the United States that actually suffered from starvation, or suffers from, or had any issues. Like the only problem that we have in the United States right now.
Mycroft. If you listen to somebody interrupting you for a second, they're saying Hooverville.
Hooverville. You mean that? No, really?
Yeah.
You mean that place that they actually set up to go build that fucking dam? Are you kidding me?
No, they also built the Empire State Building as well. That was a Hooverville. In fact, there were many Hoovervilles.
If that's your best fucking example of people starving in mass,
which they were.
Mycroft, I'm assuming you're not including.
How many? Give me a number. How many people starved?
Mycroft, I'm assuming.
1,000 compared to what?
Exactly? Yourself a drink. Go get yourself a drink, Mycroft.
No, I'm not drinking, buddy.
Oh God.
How many? Compared to what? Compared to what?
Mycroft, are you at least admitting now that 1,000 people died?
What I'm admitting to is that if that's the worst that you can come up with, then capitalism is doing a goddamn good job.
You will admit that there are more. Hang on, Mycroft. You will admit that there are more.
History cannot be made without heaps.
Give me another system that does as well as capitalism, and then you've got a point. Until you can do that, I don't give a shit.
Mycroft, will you admit that there are more?
Is capitalism
hang on. Are there more empty houses than homeless people in the U.S. right now?
Compared to what?
Compared to yourselves.
Compared to what? Look, no, I don't get. Look, you can make these arguments. It doesn't matter. Give me another system.
No, it does matter because
it does matter. Give me another system that actually does it better, and then when you actually come up with one, then you've got a fucking argument to make. But the thing that capitalism has raised more people out of fucking poverty.
You're mansplaining and manterrupting all at the same time.
Oh yeah, I'll man-interrupt for capitalism every fucking goddamn day of the fucking week.
Mycroft,
he's going all Dirty Harry on capitalism.
I am.
Mycroft, let's say you have a coffee maker that is broken, and it does not function the way it is intended. And I tell you that your machine is broken, and you just say, compared to what? And if you can't compare it to any other coffee machines in my house, then it is working perfectly.
Well, let me ask you this. Is the thing still putting out coffee? Maybe is your metaphor broken?
It's not
because the machine is still actually functioning as intended, and you are just simply saying yes it is. Yes, it is. Who is fucking starving in the United States right now? Nobody.
Yeah, yes,
Nobody.
There's some
Literally no. It's literally nobody starving.
Can I just let you know?
Nobody's starving in the United States right
What
now.
Mycroft means is that there's no one starving on television, which is what matters.
And no one in a house.
He's not including the indigenous population of America then. You know, the ones that you put on camps and starve to death, those ones.
I'm sorry, do you mean the Indians that we actually pay a stipend to, and that they have their own fucking private land and their casinos, and we pay them money? Are you fucking stupid?
You know, the ones who you just drove a pipe.
Are you stupid? Are you stupid?
You mean the private land that you took back from them once you realized
They
were
are
gold deposits under
paid
the ground?
individually for fucking being an Indian. Are you stupid?
No.
You're wrong. You're not informed. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You sound just like the guy we had last week.
No, I'm sorry. We have in Arizona, we have the we have Indians here, and in Arizona,
Yes.
the people that live on the people who live on the we have so I'm gonna have to go back through fucking history here. Basically, in the 1800s, the Texans essentially kicked out a whole bunch of fucking Indians into the area of the Four Corners, which then became the land for all of the Indians, which we still have land in Arizona, for example. These people live on this land. They get a stipend just simply for being a fucking Native American. They don't have to do shit. They just get a fucking paycheck for being in the bloodline of a Native American. And that's it. And then they also are able to operate businesses.
Don't you get inheritances,
They're able to operate businesses with duty free, without tax.
Why are the children of people allowed to inherit their wealth?
What?
By the way,
that's an entirely different question. I mean, we can talk about that if you want.
Well,
I'd just like to make a brief note. This is for basically anyone watching when you're having any sort of conversation about the usage of the term "those people" or "people like those" as a sort of othering term to sort of show that.
I don't give a shit about that.
For the other people
I'll call
irrelevant.
them Indians or like fucking Redskins or whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Fuck that crap.
That would be more honest.
We can call them whatever we fucking want. I don't give a
Redskins. You going with that, are you?
I'll call them engines. I'll call them little
Engines.
fucking
pale face.
fucking
So we'll call you the white man then.
yeah, that's fine. I don't give a shit. Call me a fucking honky all you want. I don't give a fuck.
The ginger man.
You're white even for white people.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure there was like there was a land that belonged to Indians that was like it was one of these lands that was decided
America.
Yeah. Well, they said that. Well, I know that this is your land, but
You got to give that back.
yeah, you can. Well, you can have your own land.
Yeah.
So like that is what they said to the Indians. But
You gotta
then
move back
there
to
was.
Wales.
But then they found that there was gold on that land, and then they just invaded it again.
Yeah, we did that.
Okay,
Yep.
but like capitalism says that's okay.
Actually, we did that.
Yep,
Really.
absolutely. It's absolutely.
And you don't
fine.
see how that is broken in any way.
No, I
right?
don't see that. I don't see that as a problem whatsoever.
You don't see that as exploitation.
No, I don't see that as exploitation
A
at
little
all
bit
because
mean.
they're not.
Even
No.
that. Not even that.
Not at all because those people
What
weren't
about
actually
rude?
using those resources at all.
What about sort of like
They were using the land. It was their land.
Imagine. Would you be upset? Would you be upset
What do
if
you
the
mean?
people who did that and
You
the
don't
people who had it done them too
Okay, so here's
didn't invite them to a dinner party?
Here's some real truth for you guys. There's
Why
no
won't
such
the real
thing
truth?
as your land. There's no such thing as your land. You do not own land.
Mycroft, you'd be perfectly happy for someone to come into your home and say you don't live here
You do
anymore.
realise
If
Stephen
they
Colbert
wanna-
is supposed to
if
be
they
a
wanna
parody?
fucking try it, that's fine.
You'd be happy. Would you be happy for for the government or some governing body.
Do you understand why we have a government? The whole reason we have a government is so that we can prevent people from taking our land.
Mycroft, do you think Stephen Colbert is a satire?
I'm gonna go get a drink.
Because it's like it's a little bit like him.
Yeah, it's very simple. Like if the land that you actually occupy, the land that you control, is the land that you're able to keep. That has been the rule throughout all history.
Is what the Native Americans ruled until they were invaded.
Until they lost their land, yes.
Or had it
sorry, that's how it works. You want to talk about the British Empire? We can talk about that shit.
See, he's whatabouting again, look.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is that the British Empire didn't do nothing wrong.
We did lots wrong.
So you are whatabouting.
And we're still paying for it.
Yeah, and we eventually pulled out.
Yes, and look what a mess that made.
Yeah, you're still paying for it. I mean, look at the fucking state of America.
Pulling out, man. It's always messy.
Well,
we put the Indians on reservations. They have their own land, and it is a mutually beneficial relationship for everyone.
Just until you decide that you want their land back.
If you are going to pull out, use a towel.
It's not gonna. What that's the thing is that we don't need their land. There's no reason for that.
You've already got
Because
it.
you took all the gold and left.
They have a hell of a lot of land. Go look up the Indian reservations.
You're shoving an oil pipeline across their land. When they objected, they were told to shut up.
Yeah.
You just said
that's exploitation.
Yes.
So
exploitation of what?
If it was put it this way, Mycroft.
Do you understand what they were bitching about?
Mycroft, shut up.
Their land. Would you mind if I just put an oil pipeline through your front room? Yes, you would.
Yes, you would.
What are you talking about? The
oil
pipeline.
Destroying where you live, Mycroft.
We can go through that because you're talking about the Dakota pipeline.
Yes.
You want to go through that because that actually wasn't their land, just so you know.
Oh.
Really? All right.
Is that why they were on it?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't actually their land.
What did you do? Rewrite the rule book so all of a sudden it wasn't their land anymore?
No. Have you actually looked into the Dakota pipeline?
Have you?
Yes.
Have you?
Yeah, I did.
And what did you find, Mycroft?
That it wasn't their land.
Is that what you found out?
Yeah, it wasn't their land.
And where did you find that out? See,
What
these
they
are the
were
hard-hitting
concerned,
questions
what they were concerned about with the Dakota Access Pipeline was that it was going to bleed into their water source. But the thing is that the pipeline was actually under their water source. It had nothing to do with them.
Dakota Access Pipeline. This runs through the Standing Rock Indian Reservation and is located in North Dakota and South Dakota.
He's on about another Dakota pipeline, obviously.
Oh, I see.
There's a Dakota
he doesn't care about this imaginary pipeline through his house.
That destroys where he lives, but that's okay.
It was because here's the thing: it was state land. It was not their land. If it was their land, if we were actually like cutting through that, we would have had to make an agreement, a treaty with the Indians.
Well, it says here that it's the Standing Rock Indian Reservation.
Yeah, Abigail is saying
they were squatting on it. Like, what was their legal status before the company
Abigail is
decided?
saying, Robin, please bring back the flat Earth guy. It was less painful to listen to.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Wait, there is a flat earther and I missed it?
That was last week, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You can listen to last week's episode. I'm not a censor, you see.
And I asked him about the two sets of constellations that spin in opposite directions depending on which side of the Earth you're on, and and the solution to that He actually threw me for one. He did have an answer. There are 2 sets of stars that rotate in opposite directions on either side of the flat Earth.
which is mind-blowing.
And you just don't see where they cross each other in the middle.
Nobody knows. Dude was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Mel, you were the person that Mycroft admires the most in dealing with said person.
Oh no! I'm sorry, Mycroft.
Melanie admired.
No, I'm sorry. Well, it's fine. You're wrong about this whole fucking Dakota thing. Well, look. Laugh about it all you want. I'll get the fucking information, then we can fucking laugh about it later. Because you're wrong.
Okay.
No, because like this whole thing started with Obama because the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Apparently.
No, because the Dakota Access Pipeline was supposed to go through. Obama nixed it because of fears about it going through a Native American land. He wanted to reroute the pipeline. Look, I don't have to fucking explain this. You can look it up yourself. It didn't happen. This is stupid. You guys are fucking retarded.
Wow. Anyway, talking of retarded, I'm just looking at the record since 1958 when it comes to CO2 carbon emissions. It's pretty easy to spot that there's it's going up very easily. There's no escaping that.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope China changes its fucking position on things. That'd be great.
Well, I'd like everybody to change.
Yeah.
Not just China. Every single country.
You know what? You know what's gonna really help that? A whole bunch of retards like laying down in a fucking market in the UK. That's really gonna fucking help. Great job, guys.
So what should they do? Everybody just sits there.
I think they should.
I don't want to sound funny, but there's been
that.
scientists have been raising these points for over 20 bloody years, and nobody's given a damn hoot. All of a sudden, some 16-year-old Swedish schoolgirl comes over here, and everybody's falling over. What kind of stupid society do we live in? I mean,
I'm not
slagging her off.
It's fantastic that you guys are like laying down in your supermarkets. I really think that's going to help. It's a good thing. It's really good.
What else are you supposed to do?
I don't know. I don't know, buddy. What are you going to do?
Scientists have raised these points again and again and again. You have a Burke in your country who's pulled his own nation out of the climate accord.
Yeah, we did.
Last year.
Do you know why? Because the Paris Climate Accord had absolutely no fucking clue what they were doing, and they just wanted us to pump money into their bullshit system.
Yeah,
that's right. And we said, no, sorry, we're not paying for your garbage.
Mycroft.
Sorry.
Mycroft, I've just got to say that the pipeline does run under the Missouri and Mississippi rivers, which is on the Standing Rock Indian Reservation.
Yeah,
and they did protest
under, yes,
under
I know.
bodies of water.
Under, yeah, exact. Well, okay, yeah, under.
So CO2 emissions.
It's not
steadily rising.
No, their concern was that if there was a leak, that it was going to pollute their water.
413.55
downstream, and there was an. But here's the thing, though. Like, go look.
In America, actually, it's
yeah, but this is the retarded bullshit.
Mycroft.
This is the retarded bullshit about it, because look at all the other pipelines that already fucking run under that fucking river.
Mycroft. I've looked into this.
Okay.
I am doing the research.
Look at these carbon emissions right now.
Okay, carbon emissions. Okay.
See, this is from the 1950s. 300 parts per million down there. It's definitely going up, Mycroft. And this is it, basically on a 2-year cycle. You can see it basically
Fantastic.
every
I've already
year.
addressed this.
I'm arriving late to this discussion, but my understanding is that if it was the reservation, then the meaning of a reservation is that the government can't make decisions.
We're not talking about that now.
Oh, we're not. Okay.
Well, okay.
Don't be correct.
And the thing is that what I was really about to point out is that we're still struggling to actually have anybody just look at this and kind of go, okay, yeah, fair enough.
Look, they had the Fort Laramie Treaty boundary, right? So like they had every right to fucking.
Oh, for God's sake, no!
No, they had that. They had every right to fucking build that fucking pipeline if they wanted to, under particular restrictions, and they have already built other pipelines through that area. So fuck off with your bullshit.
Mycroft, I have something to send it. I'm gonna hold my tongue because Robin has a chart to show us.
I don't care about the chart.
Right, but I'm saying I've got something to say to you about the pipeline.
I don't care about factual information. I want to rant and rave and call every fucking retard.
Yeah,
Your factual information is simply trying to tell the United States that they need to fucking do more than the fucking Chinese, and you can kiss my fucking ass. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Ooh, okay, topic change. Robin.
Yes.
Robin, yeah.
What do you think of Sargon's run for office?
I support it. It is good for the show.
It's sort of sad to watch.
It's like it's sad on two levels. One that he's running, and two, what that says about our like political system.
What does it say about us? Yeah.
Have you seen?
We weren't doing too well as it was.
But you've got to understand is that Lord Buckethead is also running. So you know. He follows me, by the way. Hello, Lord Buckethead.
Nice.
Here's the thing about Sargon. Is that he's probably going to get it.
Yeah.
It is quite a Brexity area.
He's going to Trump his way all the way up to the top.
It is a UKIP area. But have you seen who's put his name down in the Northwest?
Who?
And he's actually using the name Tommy Robinson.
Oh, God.
And the thing is, if he hasn't changed his name by deed poll to Tommy Robinson, he's committing a second offence. The first offence was bribery, which he did last, when was it, yesterday when he started off? He offered free food. He was giving away burgers, I think it was, and the police turned up and you can't do that, mate. It's bribery. It's classed as bribery, so it's illegal. And it's not UKIP's first offence of this, as they gave away sausage rolls a few elections back. So UKIP should be fully aware of this position. Hey,
hello, it's working.
Hey, you're working now.
Yeah, hello, I don't know why on Chrome it wasn't. There was no sound coming from the chat.
Very strange.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
It was probably Mycroft talking, and Chrome had a.
No, I have a whole picture of North Dakota right now with all the pipelines running through it.
Don't give a shit.
Nobody cares about that
tiny
little place.
Because all of the bullshit you were talking earlier.
Robin, have you read the chat? You've been challenged.
What we got here?
About halfway.
Would you like to see it, Melody?
No.
I'm gonna send it to Melody anyway. I don't care.
She's blocking you.
Good. I hope she does.
What do you want to do, Phil?
Challenge you to a duel. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh thing.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on Standing Rock? Is that the same?
It's not moving.
Well, that's true.
I don't care. I don't care.
Well,
I thought it was a bunch of garbage to begin with.
Okay.
They weren't even actually concerned about their land because they already are pumping oil through all of it.
Oh my God. Okay. I held my tongue back. Look, okay, Mycroft, it went under the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. Obama said,
look at what do you want me to like?
No. Obama said that wasn't on.
You more. You want me? There it is. Pipeline.
The environmental.
Oh my God! Look at all the fucking oil.
The Environmental Protection Agency said it was a bad idea, and then Trump just went over all their heads and just said, "Go ahead with that."
The EPA under Obama said that the thing that Obama wanted to do was a good idea. Fantastic. Yeah. And then when we had and then when we okay, well I'll tell you what. You can no longer look at any fucking any institution that we have in the United States under the Trump administration and say that they have any bad ideas. Now, I'm going to tell you that the Pentagon just recently said that trans people cannot join in the military. Well, that's just that. Well, we have to just listen to the fucking agencies now, right?
What does that? Wait, what are you talking about? How does that?
He's
have
trying to
anything do with
derail
the
everything,
EPA?
Mel. Mel's
Yeah, but
trying to derail
No,
everything.
it's very simple. Is that if you think that the agencies that follow under a president actually have any sort of fucking relevance, you're
You mean
retarded.
like the APA?
The APA the EPA included, yes.
No. The EPA would be to do with environmental, the APA would be in terms
included
of things like firing people because they're trans or gay.
Because
it's psychologically healthy.
do you know who appoints people to those agencies when they come into office? Where do you think those agencies come from?
It doesn't matter. They're
the U.S. president.
I hate to. Unfortunately, the EPA is not very popular in America. Flint, Michigan, being an example of why. But Mycroft, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on the Bundy Ranch standoff?
What the hell are you? Why is that even a thing?
Oh,
Are we talking about states' rights now?
Sure. I was just curious. Is that? Do you feel like they had the right to the land in that case, or
yeah, I do.
Was the government justified?
Yeah, no, I'm a wholehearted believer in states' rights. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And if they wanted to shoot the cops, they could have done that. I'm happy that they didn't. I'm happy that they didn't.
Mm-hmm. But if they were brown and they shot at the cops, then that would be a problem.
Well, it could have been racist then. I mean,
what's this chart, Robin?
It's ice core data. So basically, every year, carbon dioxide.
One than the other.
Okay. Every year, another ice sheet gets layered down on the permafrost in the Arctic. So a clever clogs was like, well, okay, so you can actually detect what the carbon emissions were in each layer, and therefore you can see what the, not carbon emissions, but what the atmospheric concentration of CO2 was every single year the further down you go, based on each kind of cycle of permafrost layer. It's really cool. They take like a tube of ice, and you can actually see how it changes, like tree rings.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Clever clogs. That's
so
the
there's
technical term,
lots
is it?
of carbon dioxide trapped in ice.
But there were. I will say though, he was actually he was treated like a heretic by a lot of companies at the time that were, oil companies, because they did not want him sharing that. Also, he was also instrumental in getting lead out of petrol as an additive to make your car run better.
I have a question for you.
Minecraft. Why did they do that though? If they knew
I have a question.
It wasn't because of capitalism.
Mel, I have a question for you. What happens when carbon goes into the bottom of the ocean? Do you think it compresses, or do you think it? What happens when carbon goes into the very bottom of the ocean?
What do you mean to the very bottom of the ocean?
Well, I mean, just bury it. Yeah, at the very just drops all the way to the bottom.
It's a gas that's dissolved in a liquid. What do you mean it goes to the bottom?
Oh, so is it just resting at the top?
It's not. No, it's a gas dissolved in a liquid. When you think if you put sugar in your coffee, it just it descends to the bottom.
Well, what happens with the carbon?
It just dissolves into the liquid.
Right.
It's held in suspension.
Yeah.
So let's say the entire ocean
it becomes the liquid.
Let's say that the entire ocean is emulsified, right? What happens when?
Okay, yeah, emulsify. We'll go with that. That's not technically accurate, but what you mean when it's fully saturated?
Yeah.
All the fish will die because no oxygen. Carbon dioxide's replaced it, and carbon dioxide works in a very similar way to oxygen. That's why it binds to your blood the same way oxygen does. And that's why carbon monoxide poisoning will kill you.
And that's why you panic when you have too much carbon dioxide in your air.
Yeah.
So when carbon rests into the ocean, what you're saying is that it settles into the top of the ocean and it does not emulsify.
It doesn't settle to anywhere. It dissolves into the ocean. It's like it's a fluid. It's not like.
I'm gonna go with the science teacher on this one.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Yeah, explain it to me like I'm a retard. Go ahead.
Okay,
So
you put some
explain it to
sugar.
Mycroft.
Okay. You got a nice cup of tea or a nice cup of coffee. You put some sugar in there, and you've mixed it, and you put a lid on it. The sugar isn't going to like clump at the bottom or rise to the top. It's just going to stay suspended in that liquid.
Which is emulsification.
It's not.
No, it isn't.
It's suspension, but yeah. Okay, but there's no rising or lowering.
Again, you're arguing science with a science teacher.
I'm not arguing anything. I'm just asking questions.
Okay, but for argument's sake, let's say it was going to the bottom somehow. What's your point?
Well, no, I'm asking like how does carbon interact with water, salt water specifically?
No, it just dissolve. That's why if we produce more carbon dioxide, there's an imbalance in the equilibrium, so the water will take in more carbon dioxide.
Right. And then where does the carbon go in the water?
It's just in the water.
Okay.
It's in between the molecules.
You're just going around in circles.
It's held by it's held by hydrogen bonding. So not hydrogen bonding.
Does it bond to the water?
Well, kind of. Basically, water is bipolar.
There are plants underneath the water, mate.
Yeah, water is a dipolar molecule. That means it's got two positively charged hydrogen molecules, like slightly. It's a delta charge. And
I remember my basic.
Yeah,
basic
okay.
chemistry.
So CO2, you've got those electronegative oxygens. They're negative, so they're going to bind, although it's going to be a weak bind to the hydrogen part of the water molecules, and that's what fish breathe. They don't actually breathe water. They breathe oxygen just like us, but it's the oxygen that's suspended in the water.
Right.
That's
so
why you need a bubbler.
As this carbon dioxide descends on the oceans, right?
Minecraft, you get a fish, right, and get a tank without a filter that doesn't bubble oxygen into the water, and see how long the fish live. That's carbon dioxide building up in the tank.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand it's just depletion of oxygen.
Yeah. It exists exactly in the same way that it does in the air.
So are you saying that the oxygen is being replaced with carbon?
Mm-hmm. Because they act similarly. When you're carrying it around in your bloodstream, you've got a iron molecule, which is heme.
Well, no, what I'm asking simply is like what you've got CO2, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got H2O.
Mm-hmm.
What is the carry away there? Like what is the natural exchange between those two molecules?
Not much, but water has slight charges. You can think of it like a magnet. One side is kind of positive, one is negative. The hydrogens are positive and the oxygen is negative. And CO2, oxygen's more electronegative, so it pulls more electrons to its side, so it's partially negative, and the carbon is partially positive. And if you threw a magnet into a big box of magnets, then it's gonna nestle itself in there. It's just gonna bind. But it's not a molecular bond. It's not like ionic or anything. It's just a very weak hydrogen bond.
Right. So that's what draws the carbon.
Yeah, that's what holds
to the H2O. Right. So it's a weak bond.
And the thing is, you can force even more CO2 in there if you want, and that's what carbonation is in drinks.
Right. That's what's going to naturally happen with carbon coming down onto water, right?
Well, carbon dioxide, there's a balancing act, yeah. So if there's less carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the oceans release CO2, and if there's more there, they take up CO2. Same with oxygen.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Right? So the problem is that we're overproducing CO2 that was locked away as kind of fossil fuels and whatnot that was taken
because
out.
we're drilling and all that. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, since we're adding so much of it so quickly, then there's an imbalance between the CO2 in the atmosphere above the water and the water itself. So it has to move down its concentration gradient. So it goes out.
That was
faster that way.
Well, that was my question, though, right? So, like, if the ocean is basically acting as a huge carbon sink, even if it is a weak molecular bond, right? Mm-hmm. If the ocean is still sucking in that, like, it is still like. Well, okay. Here's another question, actually. Like, so, like, for example, like once the water actually takes in that carbon. Does it sink?
Oh, how does it? Oh, right. You're asking how does it become fossil fuels?
Yeah.
Like deep sea oil. Right. Now, what happens is that you have bacteria and you also have other life forms that live on the bottom of the ocean. They die. That carbon is then, crushed over years and years and years, and that forms chain molecules.
Right. So that
hydrocarbons.
That was basically my. Because this is my position is like how much carbon can be crushed under the pressure of the ocean.
No, it's not but it's not the carbon dioxide that's being crushed. It's organic matter. Because we're big clumps of carbon.
What?
It's organic matter that makes fossil fuels. What we burn in cars used to be like trees and animals and reptiles and stuff like this.
Yeah, but like. But it has to operate the same way, right? Like if we dump a whole bunch of carbon into the ocean, it's
not just gas. Like you need complex organic structures that are made up of lots and lots of carbon, like just carbon that isn't bound to like oxygen. It's not gas. It's complex carbon chains that are smushed together into.
Oh well, like CCO, you're talking like CCO. Okay. TCO2.
No, I'm talking about like aromatic rings, like where like organic chemistry is all to do with like biology, which is carbon rings. So you have 6 carbons that are linked together, and that kind of stuff over time, when it's crushed, can like make strings.
What you're basically saying is we need more algae.
We need algae, and we need millions of years for that algae to have taken CO2 out of the atmosphere and like have died and be crushed under enormous amounts of pressure for millions of years.
And that's why the coral reefs matter. Okay.
So yeah. No,
I mean, well, am I wrong?
CO2 itself doesn't just like disappear. That's you've got a lot of different life forms that are taking in oxygen or CO2 that make it part of their organic structure, and then they get crushed and turned into oil or coal.
Can't the plankton figure this out? Can we just like dump plankton in the fucking ocean?
Well, okay, actually, you are onto something, because we have designed different types of algae that kind of do this at a faster rate, and we can muck around with their genetics to make them do that even faster.
Is that whole technology thing I was talking about? All that.
Yeah, but again, like what you need for that is like funding, and when you could fund, when you could fund something that's a lot cheaper that destroy the planet and would give you more profits, which
burning stuff make more
would
money.
Be the right thing to do.
I'm gonna go with fuck the planet and. Give me my fast fucking Tesla car.
Hey, the thing that the issue I have, Minecraft, is Star Trek, like in the 60s? You know how they predicted stuff? Like touch screens and, like
nuclear
kind of stuff? Yeah.
I'm already bored.
Do you know how Gene Roddenberry predicted all that stuff? He went to
boredom of
no, he went to
of people?
scientists. No, he went to actual scientists, and he said, "Hey, if money wasn't an issue, what would we have right now?"
Oh,
all
here
the
we
funding
go.
you wanted." And they said, "Look, we've got touchscreen technology." They had that in the '60s, but it wasn't profitable. It wasn't like there was no, and that's why in Star Trek as well, they're in a post-currency existence. Everything's provided for by free energy and replicators.
We would be so much further along if we were just all communists. I agree.
Well, communists in a Western country or communists in a country that had just been ravaged by war.
I think that the system. I think the system that we have is pretty fucking fantastic right now.
You got to use your logic compared to what?
Yeah, but Mycroft babies are just fucking useless. They don't pay taxes.
Mycroft. No, using your logic though. Using your logic, capitalism is working compared to what?
Yeah. compared to every other system that's been tried. I mean, you can compare. Well, you can compare capitalism to mercantilism, for example. And that's what mercantilism.
What is that?
Are you familiar with that? Mercantilism is the thing that communists typically ascribe to capitalists, which mercantilism is basically like a state. Imagine so you're the British Empire, right? And you decide that you're gonna fucking take over India because they have a whole bunch of cool shit that you want.
As you do.
Right.
Sorry about that.
As you do.
Again.
Right. So you take all of their resources and then you sell them at a profit.
I'm sorry.
That is mercantilism. Now, capitalism is a different thing. Capitalism is
that
where...
fusion generator, Robin?
I was about to ask.
Fusion.
God damn it, Robin.
That's the Mega Tokamak. Look at that baby.
So is this what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
So they've actually achieved stable fusion.
Well, this is one particular way of doing it. There's various geometries that you can make up, and they're just trying to find the best one.
What I don't understand is how did they do it?
That's not going to work.
Hang on, what's it called?
Okay, if you put a magnet up against a flame.
Yeah. And it destroys the magnet?
No, not that far up against it.
Oh, okay.
But electromagnets you can affect plasma with.
Okay.
So they just...
Oh, I get it. So they're controlling the bursts of the I see what they're doing. That's still dangerous though.
No, it's not.
Because but how do you control the magnets though?
Well, you turn them on.
Using electricity, but it's so.
What about magnets?
What about?
No, but if you heat magnets, they operate differently, obviously,
That's
right? So
yes.
how? So you're still dealing with cooling here.
Yeah, but you're not heating the magnets.
So basically, you're using hyper effective magnets to. Okay.
Wait. So I'm guessing that they're using radioactive.
It's a mix of hydrogen, deuterium, and tritium.
The column is
Oh, sorry, you guys just robot said for me for a second.
I was just saying it's basically a mixture of hydrogen, deuterium, and tritium. And
think of two dicks poking each other.
No,
it's basically well, that's what that is. You're shooting what, deuterium, and what's the other one?
No, what's going on here, Mycroft, is that on the inside of this, you're getting your fusion. On the outside of this is where the magnets are pushing it in. So as the fusion happens, it's actually expanding into a bubble. Okay, so this is the actual fusion pushing out, and then you got the magnets pushing in, and it forms this sort of bubble around it.
What is that? The heat, or what is that? What do you mean?
Yeah. So it's the fact that you've got that actual reaction happening that's pushing out. Thank you, mate.
And in the bubble, and so like, what do you have, like magnets all around it to like fucking control the reaction?
To hold it together, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
The moment, the moment.
Yeah, but like
you turn the magnets off. The moment you turn the magnets off, it all stops.
When you heat magnets, though, they operate differently, don't they?
Well, permanent magnets do. That's because of the way that the electrons are spinning. That's what not generates, but it's what. It's hard to say. So, like, how do I say this? Okay, so basically, permanent magnets work, or ferromagnetism is when electrons are spinning in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not just
iron. It's like also neodymium, and it's.
So I understand it, but you can cool those magnets, right?
Well,
I mean,
no,
these magnets are cooled.
But see, the thing is, okay, with permanent magnets, these are atoms that are usually a metal, and if you heat up these atoms, then that's going to disrupt the kind of uniform electron rotation, and that's what destroys a permanent magnet. So if you put a magnet on a radiator, for example, a permanent magnet, eventually...
you lost me. I'm lost. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Electromagnetism is slightly different because you're generating a magnetic field using the motion of electrons being passed through a coil.
So what exactly is like keeping all that shit together in the? Is it it has to be the electrons, right? Like that's actually like would keep the fusion reaction like going between the.
Well, I'm a bit lost there because I'm technically a biologist, so my physics only goes up to a certain level.
What are you asking? What's the question?
Can you put the image back up? Like, so you've got deuterium at the top, I'm assuming, and then what's at the bottom of it? What's the other element?
What do you mean at the top?
Well, you're mixing deuterium and what? What's the other one?
Well, deuterium. What do you think deuterium is?
I'm gonna go, guys. My
no worries, mate. Take it
throat
easy.
is getting very soaked, and I have to get up early tomorrow.
Take it easy.
Is it just a deuterium? It's a deuterium rod. That's what?
Yeah, but deuterium is actually hydrogen, just with neutron.
It's a hydrogen isotope, as is tritium.
Very good, Robin. You get a sticker.
and tritium is a different type of isotope.
Yeah, it has two
hydrogen.
neutrons.
Yes.
So what?
So basically, Mycroft. Mycroft. So the
explain it to me.
We're trying to, but you keep on yelling. We're trying to, but you keep on yelling. Explain it to me. You're interrupting us while we try to
What I do, Robin.
I know. Stop yelling. Anyway.
Okay.
Right, so you've got tritium and you've got deuterium. Okay, these are two types of hydrogen that are basically, probably the best way to describe them, closer towards hydrogen, helium, which is the next one up on the periodic table.
How many extra things does it have?
Not much. A few little bits more, and you've got yourself helium, basically.
One proton to be exact.
So
one extra proton, and then you have deuterium. Or how does that work?
So if you imagine, yeah, you're trying to get a bunch of hydrogen.
Hydrogen?
Mycroft.
Okay.
Mycroft, listen.
No, I'm with you.
Listen
now.
to my voice,
I
Mycroft. Listen to my voice.
No, I have it. I have it in my brain.
You want to get a bunch of hydrogen to turn into deuterium, and a bunch of deuterium to turn into tritium, and a bunch of that tritium to turn into helium. Okay. So by putting a bit of deuterium in there and a bit of tritium in there, the idea is they're sort of like stepping stones. You know,
so what temperature do you have to do this at exactly?
A lot hotter than the actual sun itself.
Oh well, how does that work exactly?
Well, the problem, the easy thing for the sun is there's so much of it.
But if you do it at small scales, you can actually accomplish that heat level.
Yes, there is a bit of a Moore's law thing going on with this.
Okay.
So
that's kind of scary though.
That's really fucking cool, actually.
It is kind of cool. I mean, it is alchemy, like the textbook alchemy. You're taking one element and turning it into another.
There's certain things you can't do with it. Okay, you can't.
But like, if this fucks up though, doesn't this
No,
it's not a chain reaction. It's not like nuclear.
It's like turning a gas bulb off. You just turn the gas off, and it just kind of goes boom, and it's gone.
Oh, because the heat's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the heat disperses.
So the moment one of those electromagnets goes, the whole thing just pops out of existence. It's of no use to anybody. It just stops. There's no working parts, nothing.
What was preventing us from doing this originally exactly?
Well,
this isn't
skill.
The amount of energy that you need to put in to cause that to happen exceeds the amount of energy that you get out.
What the magnets?
Yeah.
What? No. Well, yeah. Because you need. I mean, there's that, but there's also the amount of heat that you need to generate as well. So in 2018, the last thing that they were working on is reducing this excess heat.
Right, but like I guess it sort of depends, right? Like if you can generate enough of these spears at the same time simultaneously, right, then it could be.
Well, no, you still have the same issue. You just multiplied it up. Yeah. So like it's.
You've got to go past unity.
My assumption is that it wasn't 1-to-1. So I mean, if it's not, then.
Well, the thing is, what you're trying to do is you're trying to replicate the sheer magnitude of what the sun does, because the sun basically smushes hydrogen atoms together on a daily basis, and that's the energy that's released.
Huge. Well, that's what I was assuming was actually happening.
Now, the problem is it's easier to make it smaller, but you don't get as much energy out of it.
But if there's a lot of it,
well, the problem is that there isn't necessarily a lot of it. The smaller you get, so it's useful for smaller things, but a lot of people, what they're trying to do is make something that can generate a fuck ton. So that's actually sort of the other problem for it, is that where the money is not generating it in little tiny things, but making fusion on a big scale. Which makes it harder.
Like I'll be honest with you, I really fucking hate chemistry. Like fucking, what was it? Sonder was explaining like a fucking chimectral, whatever the fuck those things are, like the
stoichiometry.
No, the chimera effect on different chains of molecules.
Oh yeah, you mean isomers? No, look, Minecraft, I'll explain it really easy to you. Look at your hands. They're both made...
No, I get it. Yeah, no.
Okay.
He had a word for it. It was like chimetrals or something, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a word for it. Yeah, no. The fact that like a particular molecule operates one way in a particular configuration, but like if you reverse it, then it operates in a different way based on the
Actually, there was a disaster in the UK and America with a drug called thalidomide for that exact reason.
Oh. Yeah, he was actually talking to me about that bullshit. Yeah,
it's not bullshit. 10,000 people died. That's.
I didn't die, so it's whatever.
But it's kind of creepy though, because
they were all hands and feet, no arms or legs.
No, but Robin, like, because it was a racemic mixture, which means it's a mixture of both the isomers. It's really creepy that the statistic of the thalidomide children that survived to the thalidomide children that didn't was exactly 50-50.
Yeah, do you know what the term is called? It's like it comes from the root of Latin. It's like chimera, but like there's a word for like.
I think it's stoichiometry that you're thinking of.
I don't know what I don't remember what he called it. It was like chimetric. Yeah, I don't remember what he called it. It's a chimera something or other.
Oh, I'm
But,
Greek geometry is naming. Yeah, no, it's chiral center.
chiral, yeah, that's what he.
Yeah, that's what you're talking. Yeah, that's basically the way your chiral center is usually a carbon, and it's how the atoms are arranged around.
Yeah.
Chiral
Yeah,
center.
so like you have, like you said, the left hand and the right hand, and like
And
they
they make
do
it the
different
same
things.
thing, but you can't put one over the other.
Yeah, basically
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no,
Because
it's
they are
fascinating. The way he was explaining it was
fundamentally
actually.
opposite.
Yeah, and they do completely different fucking things. It's weird. Yeah.
Have you heard that Bolsonaro has just defunded philosophy, art courses, and everything related to the humanities, like across Brazil, and now he's getting the state police involved to remove teachers who try and teach it.
Wait, try and teach what?
Bolsonaro try and teach philosophy, art, music, and all these other things because he deems them as cultural Marxism.
Yeah, we're in Brazil now. So he's like defunding particular schools because.
No, across the whole country.
Do you get an article?
All university courses.
Because he considers it cultural Marxism.
Yes, so it's highly anti-Semitic.
Well, I mean that will actually play with his base pretty well.
Yeah, but like he is like the literal like anti-SJW president.
I don't know. Like there's a particular argument to be made there, like that.
Minecraft, no, come on.
No, not for the cultural Marxism thing. Like,
social studies was the other one.
Well, no, think of it this way, right? You come out of a school with I don't know, $100,000 worth of debt, and there's no
I don't
job.
know if it works that way in Brazil, though.
It works that way in the U.S.
Yeah, I know that, but
I
always say the answer to that is that it's the person's choice and freedom of choice to do the course that they wanted to do.
Yeah, but you're talking about 18-year-olds, and they're fucking retarded.
Well, no, like
stop using that word. It just...
Well, no, like I chose the course that I wanted to choose the course that I wanted to do because of like it fitted with me, and that's like my personality, and that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I still think you have the agency to be able to choose what course and what kind of profession you want to go into.
Yeah, not a lot of people do actually do the same thing that you do, my dude.
You should go into fusion science.
I mean, like, I don't think everyone's equipped. I don't think everyone's equipped to be a STEM lord.
No,
like,
I think that essentially the problem is that a lot of people are misled into this idea that after high school you absolutely have to go into university, and when you pump everybody into university, when most of these people are not intelligent enough to like take on a STEM degree or something, then they have to go and do something stupid like communications or whatever.
Whoa.
They end up leaving.
I put it to you this way, Mycroft.
Sorry to everyone who studies communications.
Hollywood and the music industry are huge, massive industries. Probably some of the biggest, like the entertainment industry is huge, and it does need people that need to take like English degrees and like sociology and all that sort of stuff.
People are bored, Mycroft.
And you think that industry can take what? How many people?
It can take as many people as it needs.
I don't think so at all. I think it can take some people.
No, it'll take as many people as it needs. I mean, like,
I think that there are a hell of a lot of people in the United States right now who have taken on these degrees that, I don't know, maybe would have landed them pretty fucking well in I don't know, in Los Angeles or whatever. And now they're stuck in a situation where they're never going to be able to pay off the debt that they have, because here's the little fucking shocking fact: you cannot write off student loan debt. That follows you,
Well, you should be a Bernie bro, mate.
Well,
Yeah.
see, that's my
Well,
thing.
what
Right?
about
That's my point.
Elizabeth Warren?
That's my point. This is my point. Is that you've got a whole bunch of people pushing people into going into these degrees that they're never going to be able to pay off. Right? They run up a whole bunch of fucking debt, and then they get out of school and they've got $100,000 worth of debt that they cannot pay off. They have no job. They have no job coming out of school. And then who are they going to vote for? Who are they going to vote for?
Hold on. Okay. Can I just say something? I've been here. I was just watching Game of Thrones again because I was looking at some details in the episode. I was dragged here, and all I heard was just like this moaning and bitching from Mycroft over like, oh, well, I'm just asking questions, and now he's going like, oh yeah, but a degree is only qualifications for a job, and it's not about the education itself. And this is where I have an issue. Education and qualification are not the same thing. You don't go into education.
Fuck off. No, you can shut up right now because I know exactly where you're going.
No,
shut up. Stupid. No, this is stupid. You think even for a flying fucking second that your stupid like fucking communications degree is going to get you anywhere, you're retarded. And fuck off with this bullshit. I know so many fucking people. I know so many fucking people. I know so many fucking people who have these bullshit degrees and they are getting nowhere, and they have got at least $100,000 worth of debt for it for nothing.
Get cleverer friends.
Fuck off with this argument. I've heard this a million times and it pisses me off.
Mycroft.
Bullshit.
Mycroft. You left.
I'm just gonna say that you don't go.
Wow, you got a really good education, bro. Aren't you so smart? Guess what? You're gonna have to live in poverty for the rest of your life.
Well,
congratulations. Well, at least you had that education.
Mycroft.
Well, firstly, it shouldn't have to be that way.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Mycroft, did we always have to pay for university degrees?
Oh, if you want to understand why the university degrees are going up, it's because of the it's because of the government.
Someone else, isn't it?
No, it's because I can explain it to you. It's very simple. Is it that it's a very simple process, right? The universities are essentially saying we need X amount of dollars to operate, and then they're going to the U.S. government and saying this is how much money we need. The U.S. government is saying, okay, well, we'll budget for that. They go to the voters. The voters say, okay, well, we're willing to pay this amount of taxes to like fucking fund our education.
Look at that shit.
If the government is paying for it, why are students taking out credits?
Well, the problem is that what happens is that this drives the cost of education up in the United States. Now, we can do one of two things. Either privatize our education, or we can federalize it.
Isn't it already privatized by how much people are paying?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not entirely privatized.
Now, why do you have to take a loan out to?
Yeah. We have a loan, but we do have like government loans where the government loans if you don't pay back in 40 years, they're written off.
Yeah, but this is the thing is that you can take out federalized loans, and those loans can be forgiven, granted that you teach at some point. If you teach for a couple of years, then those loans will be forgiven. So that's essentially how we get away with that bullshit. But yeah, it's not private, because most of the loans that you get for student education come from the federal government.
I mean, I would do those teaching for 2 years. I would sell myself for 2 years a bit, and then just be like, yeah, that's done now. I mean, it makes so much sense to just do that if that was an option.
Yeah, but most people don't know about that. That's the problem. So they end up with like $100,000, $200,000 worth of student loan debt, and they still work.
I'd like to see where that's written then, because that would be just like I'd advertise that.
It's U.S. wide. Like if I had if I had student loan debt, I don't. But if I did, all I'd have to do is go like, hey, like a teaching career, do a substitute, some bullshit like that for like a couple of years, and then I could be able to write off my debts off onto the state government. And this is a federal thing, so yeah. But
even a substitute, you don't have to be like a full-time.
Yeah, no, it's just you just have to be associated with the state education system.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think that was one of our more pleasant interactions. I think this night, Minecraft.
No, I know.
I learned something new today. That infusion.
I do finance, so I know how to get out of everything. So.
It does beg the question why there are these things that you need to get out of, but we'll put that aside for the interesting that you can write off.
The thing is, the original reasoning to go into university is to learn more about your own passions, and then maybe in the last year you learn how to develop a career.
And that would be fantastic in every other country other than the United States.
But it should be that way everywhere in modern Western society.
Should be, but not here. It's not. Here in the United States, the entire reason that you should go to university is you will make money. We are a working nation. This is the truth. It is whether you like it or not.
Sure, but I've also seen studies I don't know if it's the same in the US, but people who have done degrees have a higher chance of having a higher salary than people who do not.
On average, sure, but you also have to take into account that the fact that those people are also coming from more money. You're looking at an average that goes over the entire fucking country.
So you're okay with what's that thing where black people have more advantages? You're okay with that?
I don't know what that means.
I can't remember what it's called.
Affirmative action.
That's the one.
No, I'm not okay with affirmative action at all.
But you just said how unfair it is on people who are poor. And
that doesn't mean that I'm okay with affirmative action. I don't understand how you got there.
Well, because it would explain having empathy for people who have a disadvantaged start.
No, I don't care about that though. I don't think that. See, this is the funny thing. You're operating on a level of everything should be equal, and I don't believe that. I'm
not operating on a level everything should be equal. I'm operating from a point of I understand people's
equal
circumstances.
Opportunity.
But I think equal opportunity is a meme, to be honest with you. I don't think that that's a reality in life.
Robin, we've gone past 2 hours, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it an evening, but I'd just like to, Habib's. Well, Habib, if you're listening, but you're not in the chat anymore, I'd like to thank you for the Bowie albums. I have made them into mixtapes, and it was nice seeing you again, Fox and Mycroft and everyone else, and feel skeptical as well. But yeah, I'm sorry we didn't talk much.
That is all right. We're talking right now.
Unless Robin wants to continue.
Andrew and
Nightmare.
You carry on.
You realize you can just tell me to shut up whenever the fuck you want, right?
Nah, you know
You've
me.
never listened yet.
Oh, God damn it, Robin.
I could being invited to it.
Reactors on the screen.
No, literally.
Shut up.
That's a plasma injector, not a fusion reactor.
Oh, okay. My mistake.
Mel's juicing up.
Anyway, night, guys.
It's the world's largest plasma injector. This is coming out of Vancouver. This is from General Fusion.
I knew Canadians were good for something.
Look at that beast. The plasma injector goes in front in the top. It looks fucking awesome. I want one.
Can you fit one in your home.
No, if the Japanese can like make one of those that would fit in a car. Now we're talking.
I was gonna ask Mycroft, like, why shouldn't we strive for making things better for people?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Well, because he thinks that there's natural hierarchies, and some people deserve more than others.
Yep. That's essentially it.
Based on what arbitrary characteristics?
Well, that's also another loaded statement. Arbitrary. Are they arbitrary?
Only those with the bigger muscles crush the weak and gain all the resources.
Oh yeah, no, I could. Yeah, I mean, we can make that meme. The strong should fear the weak, for sure.
The axiomatic.
It is axiomatic, really, when you look at it.
I mean, A is A, you know. Atlas shrugged.
I think they should make a new version of that and call it Atlas Twerked.
Yes.
Let them read Heat.
Unconsensually twerked, given the nature of those books.
That's a philosophy joke over my head.
Yeah, you don't want to read
Fahrenheit
the
90210.
1,000-page epic that is Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Disrobed.
Some people take solace in that book for some reason.
I'm actually interested in talking about that with you. What's your face? I forget your name now.
Jody? Me?
No, the other one.
Robin?
Me?
No, the other one. The musician guy.
Me?
Yeah, you.
The one with the baby in the back.
That's actually.
Yeah, it's me.
I think it's actually a topic that is fairly central to pretty much everything.
So in order to basically make the world a better place, we need to kill capitalism because obviously you guys just don't give a shit.
No, we need to correct capitalism, and I'm gonna get so much shit for
the best thing in the world.
Ooh.
No, but I just think if
Sounds
you can
like
make
Tommy
things
talk to
better,
me.
if you can make things better, why not? I don't understand like capitulating. To the
Make
state.
things well. Jeez, isn't that that's pretty fucking loaded? Like, make things better in what way?
Well, measurably.
Measurably in what way?
Well, health is always the
Using
best way
some
to
sort
measure
of meter.
things.
Well, I can measure things in many ways, my friend. It doesn't necessarily
But,
mean that I place. It doesn't necessarily
GDP is
mean.
A barometer would do.
And I don't believe in GDP as a good measurement for that either. That's I
think
don't.
it should be measured by
Gross domestic product. I'm sorry. Like, even like the most robust Republican is going to fucking tell you you're stupid for actually believing that GDP is a good measure of a society.
but some people,
It really depends
countries
on.
are doing that.
It really depends on who's president at the time.
Well, it does. I mean, like, if you ask Trump, he's probably going to say, like, I got the best jobs ever, boy. But anyway, no, but I do want to actually talk to you about this because, like, this is kind of like where everything's going now. We're gonna have to actually have that conversation.
We're gonna have increasing automation, and people are gonna lose their jobs because they're not
I know, and it's gonna get real fucking weird, isn't it?
But we will have fusion power.
And then on top of that, we've got the encroaching climate change issue. So we've got 12 years until irreversible damage.
Wow.
And
maybe
it's only
we can make a
accelerating.
future.
I would actually love to go through that with you because I looked into that after we had the last conversation we had about China and all that, and I'll be honest with you, I'm nonplussed. I'm not actually that concerned.
Well, everyone's very pessimistic about it, to be honest. But
well, I think we have a little bit longer than 12 years. I think that the coral reefs are fucked, but they've already been fucked. So
they can be unfucked though. That's the thing. Everything can be.
Not at this point. No, I don't. The coral reefs are already fucked. Like, they're gonna be fucked regardless of what we do.
No. We can actually reverse most ecological change if we.
Well, no, because
we can't reverse it. We can't pronounce it.
The coral reefs are going to die because of the warming of the waters, and there's literally nothing we can do about that. There's no matter what we do, we're not going to stop
What
that.
you're basically saying is who gives a shit about the canary?
No, what I'm saying is that there's no reason to care about the coral reefs because they're already fucked.
Who cares about the canary in the coal mine? Let's carry on digging for coal.
I just want to say though, there's resiliency in nature. Like you can't just say that these things are going to die off and there's no way that they can come back, because for one, we have things artificially growing in labs and stuff like this, so they're not going to be completely eradicated. And then there's ways of then modifying our ecology and then making it habitable again. So it's not a matter
well, fantastic. Then you agree with me that I think that we should be using technology to override these issues. I
100% agree with you, because and in part, but I think that's where I agree with political bullshit here, which is that you need to have systemic features in place that start investing in these technological things, because the free market isn't going to just randomly come up with these solutions. That's not how.
So
you're going to need a new deal. A green new deal.
Ooh, okay, I'm going to stop you right there.
The trigger words.
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm like halfway with you, and I'm gonna go take a piss, and then I'll come back and explain why I agree with you and why I think you're fucking retarded. But anyway, we'll be right back.
The main
he's gone. I can't stand that potion.
What?
Oh my god. No, I was just kidding. He's just going on and on, man. Never stops.
Yeah.
And so much wrong. I mean, like the Ayn Rand stuff, like that really hierarchies are natural, and then this idea that somehow creating social policies that help people who are born into low economic families or something like that is somehow destroying the natural hierarchy and leads to chaos and all that Jordan Peterson bullshit. Just drives me nuts.
Yeah, they are arbitrary characteristics. Like some people get born into wealth and they can't help that, and therefore they are in a starting position that's way above everyone else's station.
Right. And like to think that like the way he puts it is like you would want these like billionaires to be the ones making the decisions because they inherited wealth from their family, that somehow they're more superior than the rest of us, which is just the most absurd thinking.
Like the Waltons, for instance.
Like any of them. Sorry about my baby.
Yeah, clearly very busy at the moment.
A picture of Mycroft.
I was just going to say like the Waltons who own Walmart, and they're one of the richest families in America. Yes, they did do a chain of stores, but they don't pay their workers and they often exploit them. Just the same way, like all of these.
Even the Waltons inherited their money. I mean, they didn't start from scratch. I mean, the same with the Koch brothers. Their family was into oil before they inherited it from their father, right? Like, there's this idea that somehow. Like this argument that somehow we're equal, or like we're at equal starting places now, such that a black person can somehow make it to the same degree that a white person could. But there's a history of even just going back to the 60s and 70s with property values, and how certain areas in the United States refused to sell houses to black families, and therefore segregated white neighborhoods from black neighborhoods.
Really?
The black neighborhoods were next to, say, the dump sites and chemical plants and stuff like this, and the white neighborhoods weren't. So what happened is the housing costs or values of the white families increased while the black families didn't. So even though
also affects disproportionately black and non-white people, the environment.
Yeah. Yes. No. Exactly. It does, because of where black people live in the United States.
Yeah, they live in the shitty
bits.
bits.
In other countries. Same thing with
terrible choices when it comes to homes.
Canadians. Most of the indigenous Canadians live in areas where there's been mining, and so the rivers are polluted and so on, right? It's And so it's like to argue that somehow we all just have equal starting points. And it's like, no, I think an indigenous person born in Canada next to a mine on property that has no value is different than a white person who happened to inherit that from a history that valued white skin over the other skins, right? So,
isn't that literal white supremacy?
But
well, I mean, like they talk about it in terms of colonialism.
But guys, that's a talk. That is a talk.
Hop in here? I want to hop in here.
Well, no, because that is actually a talk for another day. And so at this point, the open house is going to close because I can't be bothered with this anymore. And as you can see, the conversation basically, when it comes to the environment, gets hijacked by pretty much everything else. So yeah.
Oh, that's because you have a microphone.
So we
fucked. All love the fish.
Yeah, we are fucked. In about 12 years' time, we won't even be able to have a fish, or people will be asking, "What is that?"
I just want to say I'm glad I'm on the same side with you on this one, Robin. So
it will be interesting. It will be interesting though that in about like 15, maybe 20, 30 years, or 50 years from now, somebody's going to go, well, maybe we should start cleaning up that plastic. And then there's going to be some fucking environmentalist that's going to turn up and kind of go, there are creatures that have adapted to the plastic now, and if we get rid of the plastic, it will be killing their ecosystem. And at this point, the world just explodes.
Fish are gay anyway, so whatever.
So, whoever you are, we're in trouble.
Yeah, say it again. Say it louder.
Yeah, your parent has cursed you with birth.
Minecraft.
Fish are gay. Say it with me.
Fish
Time to go.
My planet.
Fuck your planet.